I'm going to begin with words from verse 1, chapter 3, and I'll read these twice. You must assess and check your mind over and over to see whether or not your mind ground is disturbed, deluded, or subject to wrongdoing. Whether or not you have been making active progress in belief, zeal, questioning, and dedication. Whether or not you have been living in gratitude, living a life of self-power, readily learning, readily teaching, and benefiting others. You must do this until ultimately you reach a state in which the mind needs no checking. You must assess and check your mind over and over to see whether or not your mind ground is disturbed, deluded, or subject to wrongdoing, whether or not you have been making active progress in belief, zeal, questioning, and dedication, whether or not you have been living in gratitude, living a life of self-power, readily learning, readily teaching, and benefiting others. You must do this until ultimately you reach a state in which the mind needs no checking. My talk today is how I have endeavored to follow these words. First, I interpret assessing and checking my mind as meditating, because meditation gives me the skills I need to separate my thoughts to see my thoughts from a more objective place. I can't assess and check my thoughts if I identify too closely with them. But I didn't understand this in the beginning. I thought my job was to stop all thinking and enter a peaceful bliss state, and that did not go so well. I tried to be kind to myself about my perceived lack of success. I tried not to say things to myself like, "There you go again, thinking, you idiot." Because actually, I learned that the point is not to stop all thinking. It is to realize when your mind has wandered and to bring it back to your breath. For me, the easy way to do this was to count my breaths. Every time I stopped myself and brought myself back to my breath, I gained a mindfulness victory. Sometimes it helped me to interrupt my thoughts by saying, "Sweetheart, you don't have to think about this right now." I said sweetheart because it brought a little levity to the situation. Sometimes I just smile a little and forgive my errant brain and keep going forward with patient persistence. After 3 months of meditating I was doing that in morning sits in the temple at 6:30, I noticed that I wasn't thinking as much about the things that I regretted, and that used to be about 40% of my waking brain time. I did not even know that something like that was possible or that I could expect it to happen, but I no longer needed a leap of faith to practice because I had proof that the practice worked, whether or not I thought I was doing it right. As time went on, meditation opened space and gave me some peace so that I could be a tiny bit less reactive. Just opening a little space between what I felt and what I did or said gave me confidence, and that confidence gave me hope. Hope and curiosity for what would come next fueled my practice. I decided to go on a meditation retreat, and that was an important part of my journey. Won Buddhism is special to me for the way that it teaches that awakening is possible for everyone, not just those who become monks and dedicate their lives to practice. Still, Won Buddhism does ask that each of us find time to remove ourselves from the world and go on retreat. Verse 2, chapter 3 says, "Be heedful to set aside in advance each year the training fees for a meditation retreat." I attended a retreat at the Insight Meditation Retreat Center in Massachusetts. It is the meditation center founded by Sharon Salzberg and Joseph Goldstein. Insight meditation retreats are designed to stay the same day to day. Participants alternate between meditating, resting, and eating from 6 a.m. in the morning until 10 p.m. at night. So when emotions arise, participants can know that the emotion doesn't have a whole lot to do with the environment, causing them to feel some way. Doing the retreat, I got a better sense that feelings are swirling in me, perhaps without any reason. I saw how a feeling bubbled up, and my mind created a story to explain the feeling. I began to see my mind as a factory that produces stories from the raw material of my emotions. Over the past 5 years, I have attended many more retreats, most a week in length, but one that was 6 weeks in length. As I became more able to assess and check my mind as one Buddhism urges, I noticed that frequently when I have feelings of unhappiness, my mind creates a story that the unhappiness is because I messed up at something that I was in control of. My ego wants the thought that I am in control to be true. In my opinion, believing that one is in control of a situation is a good way to know that the mind ground is diluted. When I believe that I am in control, I also have a tendency to judge myself. When something goes wrong, it's my fault. After all, hey, wasn't I in control? Working with my diluted thoughts about being in control in morning meditation and on retreat has helped to quiet my mind's opinion factory. But there was an element still missing for me. The element is gratitude for everything, even this mind that falls into delusion so often. My partner Eric and I recently traveled to Yongsan University in South Korea, which is the birthplace of Won Buddhism. When I overheard someone in the congregation talking about teaching English at Yongsan, I knew that I wanted to go. I contacted Reverend Grace at the Won Buddhist Institute and got approved to teach. We stayed almost a month teaching English to the students there who are training to be reverends. The trip to Asia, where I also met with my youngest daughter who is studying in Taiwan, was for fun, and it was a pilgrimage. Prior to my oldest daughter dying 2 years ago, I didn't think of myself as enlightened enough to be a spiritual pilgrim. But her death taught me many things, and one of them that is life is too short, with too many unknowns, to limit myself, to condition thoughts about who I am and what I'm capable of. So I took my search to know my mind and to live in gratitude on the road. In Yongsan, it was easy to feel gratitude. We were cared for by the schedule, by the cooks, by the kyomunim, and the beauty all around us. In fact, Eric and I wrote a poem that we read aloud for the kyomunim about this gratitude, and here it goes. Finding gratitude in Yongsan. Plum blossoms pop in a hidden nook, songs, chants, and questions from the Red Book. A beautiful home for ancestors, spirits brimming, sunset over 9 mountains, the light slowly dimming. Kindness and generosity at every turn, a Sangha community from which to learn. Meals filled with love and nourishment. Here the gift of warmth needs no encouragement. The full moon cozy with fog blanketed, we stumbled toward meditation, bleary-eyed and jacketed. When next we see the light of day, time and meditation have cleared the fog away. Traveled from North Carolina to South Korea, a spiritual pilgrimage, grief's panacea, turning anger to peace, confusion to calm, through the teachings of Master Sotasan. Verse 1, chapter 3, asks us to assess also whether or not we are living in gratitude. To me, that means a conscious effort to look for people and things to be grateful for, and really honoring that gratefulness by focusing on it, even by writing a poem about it. While taking the time to sit in meditation and separating how I feel from what I think about how I feel is a mind practice, gratitude is a heart practice. It is consciously and incrementally filling my heart with appreciation for all the things that I have. Before we went to Yongsan, I had been practicing for a year saying 3 things I'm grateful for before each meal. This one practice changed my focus toward the positive. My brain started searching for the good before the bad. When I work with my mind through seated meditation and my heart through a gratitude practice, I am moving myself along a different trajectory, separate from my default setting, I can experience truly difficult things and still have gratitude. I can see myself, other people, and nature suffering and find reasons why I am lucky to have this body and to be alive. And maybe someday I won't need to practice so diligently, having reached a state in which the mind needs no checking. Until then, I will keep working at turning anger to peace, confusion to calm, giving thanks for what I found in Young San.